Good evening and welcome to this live with myself, Saj Hussain. I'm here every Monday evening at 8:30 p.m. for about half an hour to help you with your property investing questions. If you're here for the first time, my name is Saj Hussain and I've been in business for nearly 30 years now and investing in property for about 15 of those years. I've done lots and lots of different property investing strategies, and on a Monday evening I like to be here for about half an hour, as I said, to really help you with your property investing journey, to help you get further, faster in terms of what you're trying to achieve with regards to investing in property. So if you've got a question, make sure you put it on the platform, whatever platform you're watching on. So that's YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. We're live on the various platforms. Just pop a question in, and as the questions come through, I'll answer them in the order that they appear. So if you've got a question that you'd like me to answer, make sure you put it in nice and early. Unfortunately, what we tend to find is most people start putting questions in towards the end, and there isn't enough time, and those questions won't get answered because I'll go through the ones in order, and at the ones at the very end we won't be able to cover. So if you've got a question, make sure you get it nice and early. First of all, let me know you can see and hear me okay, and then we'll get started in just a moment. So first question I've got here, just pop a comment just into the comment section to let me know you can see me and hear me okay, and we'll get started in just a few moments with the first question. I've got a first question already from Udin on YouTube. Just waiting for a couple of messages. You can see and hear me okay, and then we'll get started. Okay, great. So let's start with the first question from Udin on YouTube. And his question is, I've secured a deal subject to planning where I'll be turning a flat near Canary Wharf into 2 flats. Do you think I can raise 100% finance based on the uplift? So the purchase is 350, GDV is 750, build is 80. So just looking at those numbers, so you're purchasing for 350, you're going to spend 80,000 on it. So you'll go up to a total of 430. And 750 will be your end GDV in terms of what the value is. So you've got a calculator. I can use this pass me calculator. So what I'm just going to do, I'm going to have a look at what figure you may be able to borrow based on that, because ultimately what you're doing is you're borrowing a percentage of the end value. So if you've got 750 as end value, so 75% of 750 is about 560,000. So essentially what that means is that if you can get an end value of 750,000 by purchasing at 350,000 and spending 80,000, if your numbers are correct, you would certainly be able to raise all the money, I would have thought, through a development company in terms of being able to do that deal. The numbers sound pretty amazing to me. I would double check those numbers, because if you're purchasing at 350 and you're only spending 80,000, that's a huge uplift that you're able to achieve. So you just want to double check those numbers, and if they are correct, and hope they are for you, and you're looking for somebody to help you with the finance, ping me a message. I can connect you with a broker that can organize the funding for you. They may be able to get you 100% finance to do that particular deal. So I hope that helps, Udin. Sounds like a fantastic deal. Well done for finding and securing that. So the next question we have this evening is from Mohammed Shakil on LinkedIn. I currently have a rent-to-rent HMO, struggling to fill it. Any tips? So Mohammed, depending on where your HMO is in the country, what you'll find is that you'll have to work a little bit harder than just relying on the likes of spare room. I don't know what type of tenants that you have. I'm just making an assumption that it's maybe working tenants. It could be that you've got students, you've got people on benefits. I don't know, because you haven't really. There's not enough information there for me to be able to give you something more specific. But on a more general term, what you need to be doing is making sure you're not relying on a single platform for your leads. So for example, often people put something up on Rightmove or Zoopla and just rely on that for your leads. If you have got lots of leads coming through, that's great. But if you find you're struggling in terms of number of leads, then think about what else you can do. So for instance, if your tenants are professional tenants or working tenants, white collar, blue collar, then think about all the large local employers that are in the area, and whether they may have your target client or your target tenant. And then I'd encourage you to reach out to the HR company, the HR department even in that company, to speak to them about people that they've got either joining them right now or that may be looking for accommodation, or even if they've got an internal bulletin board of sorts, it might be online, where you can post the fact that you've got rooms available for them. And also think about recruitment companies that might be providing recruitment for those type of organisations. We find that always works well. We've got a hospital that's very close to one of our properties where they have a lot of doctors coming in for a short period of time, and we find working with the recruitment companies also helps. And then think about other local adverts. That could be leaflets, it could be just for example flyers in shops, it could be a postcard in the shop window, it could be incentivising your existing tenants, offering them £50, £100 if they know somebody that might be looking to take a room with you. Now, sometimes these things can sound as though that's you're spending quite a bit of money, but if your room is say £500 a month, you're losing over £100 a week with it being empty. So other incentives we've done in the past, we've given away a TV, a brand new TV, 32-inch TV. We've given away tablets in the past as well. So it's just thinking about how you can incentivize your potential audience to get in touch with you rather than somebody else, especially in a competitive market. So I hope that helps with that particular question there for you. So the next question we have is from Michelle on LinkedIn. I'm getting a rent-to-rent in London. Should I apply for a license soon as I know I've got it? How long does it take to receive from the council? Michelle, I'm not sure about the London boroughs, but I can tell you in Birmingham, if you make an application for a HMO license, it's not going to be unusual for it to go on for maybe a year before you get the license. However, the important thing is that as long as your property is compliant, when you submit that application, you can go on and rent the rooms. And that's pretty much a case in most boroughs, but I would double check just to be sure with your local council that that's what their particular criteria is as well that you need to follow. So what that means is as soon as the property becomes licensable, so for example in Birmingham, it's once you reach 5 people, once the 5th person moves into the property, at that point the property becomes licensable. So I could have a 6-person HMO and only have 4 people living in it, but actually at that point it doesn't need a license. But as soon as the 5th person moves in, at that point it becomes licensable. So what we would do, we have the application prepared and ready. So before the 5th person is about to move in, we'd send the application in. And whether it takes 2 months, 6 months, a year, it doesn't really matter. The application is submitted and you can carry on to operate your house. As I said, that's what the case is in Birmingham. I'm sure it's probably not that different from where you are, but please make sure you double check with your local council there. So I hope that helps you with that. Next question we have is from Raj. Hi Raj, good to see you here. Hi Saj, I saw your very impressive flip project. How do you see the next 6 months for flips, and with some predicting the falling values of flips still worth doing? So that's a great question, Raj. So I think with flips, it's all about how much value you can add and how much of an uplift you can create from the starting point of the property you have versus, of course, how much money you've got to spend on it to get it to that point. Because you could spend a phenomenal amount of money to create a stunning property, but it could be left with very little profit in there. So, of course, as long as all those numbers stack, that's really what we're looking for. So with a market like it is right now, so we've got some uncertainty. We don't really know what's going to happen over the next few months. Personally, I still think the market is going to fall. We're going to get some price drops. What that will mean is that the number of people looking for properties will decrease. And as the number of people looking for property decreases, then the prices will also start to come down. So if you're buying anything right now with a view to flipping it on, and so your flip could take 3, 6, 9 months to go through the cycle of preparing it, getting it on the market, getting it sold, you've got to think about what's the state of the market going to be in, say, 9 months' time. So if you haven't sold your property at that point, where you going to stand? So you need to build in a bit of a buffer, a contingency, if you have the appetite to do that kind of flipping. Still in this market, I'd say it's, you need to be a little bit cautious if you are flipping in this market, and making sure you've got quite a contingency built in to it. Essentially, what you're looking for is a fat profit. So if you find the deal takes longer, costs more, prices drop, that there's enough profit still to make it worthwhile. Worst case scenario is you're walking away without making any money, but you're not losing the shirt off your back. So in this market, essentially what I would say to you is you have to be cautious in terms of what you're looking for, because we can't predict how much the prices are going to fall and how long they're going to stay at a depressed state. It could be that it's really just a few months and the market starts to recover. It could be there's just a little bit of fear in the market, so the price will only drop a small amount. Versus on the other end of the spectrum, it could be that there's quite a significant drop in house prices, 20–25%, for example, and that stays to be the case for maybe a year and a half, even 2 years before you start to see recovery. So as I said, we can't really predict these things. There's so much uncertainty in the market right now, and I'm sure the government is not going to want to see a massive housing crash either, because the effect it has on the economy. So it may be that they'll introduce some measures to try and prevent that from happening as well. So the government hasn't given up. It's still trying various things, like although the furlough scheme's coming to an end, just last week the Chancellor has announced some new measures to try and help support some people with coming back to work as well. So there may be other things that they've potentially got up their sleeves as well. So right now, the best piece of advice I can give you if you're flipping is just be very careful that you don't get burnt. So when I'm looking at deals right now, I'm not just looking at deals that are good deals, I'm looking for deals that are exceptionally good deals. So just in case there's a drop in prices, we're still going to be okay. So I hope that helps. Good to see you here, as I said. So Jamie, next question on YouTube. Saj, what does it cost to fully furnish a HMO, for example, a 6-bedroom HMO, and how much should I budget, including dressing up as you do on your HMO vlog, for example? So first of all, Jamie, it really does depend on the type of finish that you're trying to create within the house. But I'll give you some ballparks just to give you an idea. So these will be useful for whether you're doing a rent-to-rent or whether you're doing a high-end HMO that you've purchased and you want to kit out. So generally speaking, we budget about £600-ish per bedroom to kit it out. So once the room's been decorated and carpeted, we're talking about the furnishing. So that might be a bed, a chest of drawers, a wardrobe, a desk, a chair, some dressing ornaments within the property as well. So usually around £600 for that. Now, more recently, what we've also started doing is fitting TVs into the room. So again, depending on the type of TV you're putting in, if you're putting a smart TV, you're going to be budgeting maybe another couple of £100 on top of it for that. If you're doing that, then you've got the bracket to fit it on the wall, if that's what you're going to do. So all these little things start to add up in terms of costs. And then your communal area, you've got your couch, maybe a dining table, a set of chairs, a coffee table, a TV for the lounge area as well. So those, again, depending on how much you're willing to spend, it can be like how long is a piece of string, how much you spend on kitting out your lounge. Then in your kitchen space, you've got your appliances you need to think about for instance, your fridges. Often we have 2 fridges, fridge freezers. You've got a washing machine, maybe a dishwasher. You've got other smaller appliances such as a microwave, toaster, kettle, things to think about as well. And then, of course, things like a vacuum, ironing board, iron, a few little bits and pieces like that. So it starts adding up a little bit this way. So, if you've got a 6-bedroom house and we're budgeting, say, £600 per room, and then including the lounge and the kitchen area, we would typically have about £10,000 or £12,000 budget to do that house. Now, do we always spend that? No. Do we sometimes spend more? Sometimes. Do we sometimes spend significantly less? Yes, we would do. So for example, if it's a rent-to-rent, we will not spend anywhere near that kind of money. We've got I think it's this Friday coming, I've got a video that'll be out on YouTube which is on a 9-bedroom rent-to-rent that we've just done, and we've spent nowhere near that kind of money to kit it out and get it ready. So I hope that helps with those numbers there, Jamie. So next question we have is from Massa. So just before I jump onto Massa's question, let me know if you've been watching the vlogs and what your thoughts are. Raj just mentioned them as well. So I've been, as unfortunately we've not been able to run our monthly meet. We used to have a great monthly meeting in Birmingham. We used to have about 100 people, 100 property investors every month come along to that. Unfortunately, since I think February, we've not ran a meeting. Right now, it's looking like that's not going to happen until maybe next year. Sometime. So really what I've done, I've put my time and energy into doing these Monday evening sessions with you, and also doing a couple of videos a week as well. So I've got a video going out every Wednesday, a video going out every Friday, and this on a Monday evening as well. So really there's 3 videos every week that are going out. They're on the YouTube channel, so whichever platform you're watching on, make sure you jump onto the YouTube channel, have a look at those. If you have been watching those, just give me your feedback, let me know what you think, if there's anything different you'd like to see, or specific topics you'd like me to cover as well for you. So come back to Massa's question, which is on YouTube. Do I need to apply for a license or planning to run a co-living HMO on a rent-to-rent property? So let's just break that down a little bit. With regards to licensing, I've done a video on licensing just last week, and I've got one on planning that will be out on Wednesday. In terms of when you need planning, how it works on HMOs, and also with regards to HMO licensing, there's a video out last week, so they're on my channel at the moment. But just a quick summary for you. Co-living, I'm assuming co-living again is one of these made-up type of words where it's a fancy word for a HMO. I'm assuming you've got working tenants living in the house, so they're unrelated, living together in a shared house with some communal facilities as well, such as lounges, kitchens, maybe bathrooms as well. So a traditional HMO. The fact that it's on a rent-to-rent is not really that relevant, although you have to think about what type of contracts you use, because there's 2 types of contracts you can use on a rent-to-rent when you take it on from the owner or the agent. One is a management contract, the other is a lease agreement. And your role is slightly different, but it's a little bit outside the realms of what you're asking here. So let's focus on the license and planning bit, which I think is the bit that you're asking about. Now, as the person that's going to be running that HMO, it's your responsibility to ensure it's licensed, whether that's in the owner's name or whether that's in your name or your company name, depending on what the setup is. That's how you've got it set up. So in Birmingham, for example, as soon as we get past 4 people, when the 5th person moves in, so 5 people or more, it needs to be licensed. So that's the requirement for Birmingham. So check with your local council in terms of, depending on where you are based in the country. Maybe that's on their website anyway. Then with regards to planning, this will again vary depending on where you are in the country. Generally speaking, you can have up to 6 people living together, unrelated to each other. And what that does, it changes, say, a family house, which is a C3 category, into what's called a C4, which is a HMO. And you don't need planning permission to do that. But let's say you have 7 people living in the house. Well, once a 7th person moves in, then the status of that property changes again. It changes from C4 to sui generis, which again is a different category, and you need planning permission for that, regardless of wherever you're starting from, whether you're starting from a family house or you're starting from an existing HMO. If you're moving into sui generis, you need to apply for planning for that. Now, the exception is if your area is one that has an Article 4 directive. And what that essentially means is your local authority has removed your permitted development rights to be able to change a family house into a HMO, and now you have to go through planning. So in Birmingham, if you've got now 3 people or more that are living together in a house in this way, you have to apply for planning permission first. This is completely separate to the license. So they're 2 separate things. As I said, if you want more details on that, make sure you watch the 2 videos, one that was out last week on Wednesday and one that will be out this week on Wednesday on this specific subject. So Massa, I hope that helps you and gives you some pointers there. So next question we have from KJ on YouTube. Hi Saj, big fan of your channel. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that, because Sometimes when you're speaking to a camera like this, it can be quite lonely because you don't know who sees this. And this is why I enjoy doing this on a Monday, because it's a bit more engaging, it's a bit more interactive. But thank you, I appreciate the fact that you joined the channel. I have a property which I would like to remortgage, but was wondering if it's better to go through a broker or directly through a bank. Is a broker cheaper in the long? So that's a very good question, because personally, I think what we are doing in a situation like this is thinking about where we can save money. So we're looking for the cheapest solution, but the cheapest isn't always the best. So for example, if you go direct to your bank or your current lender, even because you talk about remortgaging, so I'm assuming there's already a mortgage there, they may not charge you any fees, so it's cheaper, on the face of it, it's cheaper to just go straight across to work with them. You're not putting your hand in your pocket and parting with any money up front for broker fees. Whereas a broker might charge you £300, £500, £800, whatever it might be. Brokers are different. Now remember, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not a mortgage advisor, I'm just sharing with you my opinion. Personally, I would work with a broker because the broker will do a number of things. Firstly, they will understand the whole of the market. So they're not limited to the one particular bank that you may have been looking to speak to, one particular lender. They can access the various different products in the market, assuming that they are whole of market. Most brokers are, but do check. They have access to software that can scan the market and tell you these are the products that are available. And of course, they can drill down to see what's important. Now, when you're taking on a mortgage or a remortgage, it's really important to understand the mortgage offer document that you get, because it breaks it down into different sections and there's various different costs which you aren't always obvious at the beginning. So for example, yes, there might be a fee that your broker will charge to do the work for you. There might be an initial fee and then a fee at the end, or might be just a one-off fee, but your broker, whoever your broker is, will tell you what that fee is. You might have a fee for a valuation on the property. You will probably have solicitors' fees, your solicitors' fees that you'll need to pay, but possibly the lender's solicitors' costs as well, you may have to contribute towards. And then you might have a product fee as well. That's the lender charging you a fee to offer you this particular mortgage. Now, they don't necessarily charge you this up front. They could add it to the end of the mortgage, for example. But the point I'm trying to make is all of these things happen during the remortgage. It's really important that you're aware of what all these costs are, so you can look at it from a holistic point of view and say, this is what it's going to cost me to get into this particular product. And I say what you want to do is work out the true costs. Even it's not necessarily what you're paying right now, but overall, what is it costing you to go with that particular product? And also take into consideration that the low rates often lenders will offer you is the incentive to bring you in. But what you need to do is look at what's their longer term rate. So if we roll the clock back, say 10, 12 years pre-credit crunch, there was a habit that a lot of property investors would follow. That would be to purchase a property, remortgage it a few months later, remortgage it again a few months later, remortgage it again a few months later. And what they were doing as the market was rising so quickly, they were just remortgaging, taking a little bit extra cash out, remortgaging, taking a little bit of extra cash out. But the challenge with doing that is that they were adding fees constantly to their mortgage as well. So the market is now completely different to how it was then. People are not remortgaging so quickly, but you want to look at your total cost. What's it going to be involved to get into that particular product? Not the initial discount rate as well, just looking at, oh, this particular lender's offering me 2%, so that sounds like a better deal versus this one at 3%. But actually, overall, when you look at it, the one at 3% might be better. I'm not saying that necessarily is, but I'm suggesting that you look at the numbers in detail, and a broker should be able to help you do that. Whereas a lender, if you're speaking to them directly, they're just going to be showing you their products and not all the different products that are available in the marketplace. So I hope that helps. So the next question we have is from a LinkedIn user whose name hasn't shown up. I'm just going to flash it over here. It's Sarah on LinkedIn. Hi Saj, do you know which retail covenant is most profitable currently for small commercial freehold premises? Unfortunately, Sarah, that's not a question I'm going to be able to answer. I don't have a huge amount of experience. of having commercial tenants. I've taken commercial properties that I convert to residential use, but having commercial tenants in commercial properties is not really something I have a huge amount of experience of. So unfortunately, that's not one I'm going to be able to answer for you. But I'd suggest maybe have a chat with my friend Ranjan Bhattacharya, who's got a great YouTube channel as well. Reach out to him and he may be able to give you some pointers on that front. So the next question we have is from Hamza on Facebook. I want to do BRRR. Do you think now is the right time, or shall I wait 6 months? It's a question that popped up earlier on about whether, I think Raja asked it earlier on, whether buying and renovating property right now, how is the current market going to impact that? So whether you're selling at the end or whether you're going to remortgage it at the end to release the cash back out, either way, you've got to have some certainty of what the state of the market is going to be when you get to that point. And right now, we don't really have that certainty. We don't know what the market's going to be like in a few months' time. What we do know, it's likely to be different. So if, as I said earlier on, let's say there's a severe crash in the market and the market drops 25%, then you've got to be prepared to have a plan B of how you're going to continue with that particular project. So for example, let's say you borrowed the money to do the purchase and the renovation with a view of remortgaging it after, say, 6 months to be able to extract that money to repay where it came from. But let's say the market falls and you are no longer now able to achieve those values, or the lenders have reduced their loan to values. They're not lending at 75% anymore, they're at 70 or maybe even 65% that they're lending at, or there's very few products in the marketplace, or there's not one that's right for you that will work. How are you going to progress with that deal? Can you afford to leave that money in, or is there an alternative way for you to move forward? So that's the thing that I would say to you, Hamza, is just be mindful that the market is changing. And I'm not saying don't do this strategy. I'm just saying just be very, very careful, because we don't know what's going to happen in the marketplace of the coming few months. So Hamza, hope that helps. Next question. So we're going to wrap up soon. So if you've got a question, make sure you get it in nice and quick, because we're going to be wrapping up shortly. So the next question we have is on YouTube. Love your channel. Watched your past vlog 13. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. It's good to see that people are watching. When it comes to building works, designing and decorating, what are your steps and do you take before you actually start the works? So it's a good question. So firstly, we've been doing this for a long time, so we have the experience to be able to tap into what we've done previously, what's worked, and what we've done that we'd like to improve on to be able to now move forward. So some things are fairly generic in the sense that kitchens and bathrooms are really what make a house appealing when you look to sell a property as a flip, when you're renovating and looking to sell it on. Now, when somebody is coming to purchase that property, there isn't a lot for them to see. All the rooms are empty, they're all carpeted, they're all painted white or whatever color it is. So there isn't a huge amount to see. It's only the bathrooms and the kitchens that you've got something to look at. So paying extra attention and detail to those is really important. And what we do is try and create nice modern finishes in the way that people like them today. So for example, fairly open plan, fairly light if possible. And there's lots and lots of little tricks that we can use. Some of them I talked about in the vlog itself to make the house more appealing. But the things we will plan out beforehand is what's the layout of the property. That's the first thing we try and work out. Okay, what's it going to look like layout, and how is that going to help us achieve the figure that we want? Because if we want to sell, or even if we're going to refinance at the end to keep the property, the end value is really important. So we'll focus on what can we do to create that end value. So the layout, the way it needs to be, and pretty much most of our properties we strip back to brick and start again. From there we have a standard schedule of works that will follow, and depending on which building contractor we give it to, we'll liaise with them initially up front. Some of them we've done many projects with, some of them might have done 1 or 2 with, and then they'll pick it up and roll it out. And then the team will keep an eye on that project as well as it's progressing through its journey. So other little tips I can give you around that is just think about when somebody walks into a room, what do they see? So, for example, side align light switches, making sure they've got a nice finish on those. And what I see a lot of is poor attention to detail. What I mean by that is there's a lot of shortcuts people do. They don't spend the money to create a really nice finish. And when a buyer comes into the property, they don't see the work that's behind the brick wall. They don't see what's underneath that plaster, what type of insulation you use, what type of plasterboards you use, how neat your piping is under the floor. They don't see any of those things. They just see the finished product. So it's really important that the finished product does have good attention to detail and looks stunning. That's what helps to create that wow factor in somebody's mind. You want somebody to go around the house and, whoa, this is nice, this is amazing, this is lovely. You don't want them to start drawing their attention to little bits of things that are not right. Because as soon as they start doing that, as they're walking around the house, that's what they'll be picking up more and more of those. So I hope that helps. It's quite a big topic. Maybe I might do another video specifically on renovating houses and the things to look at and what to work through. If you think that'd be useful, just pop in the comment section. Maybe it's something I can put together for you. So thank you so much for spending the last half an hour with me. Hopefully you find these sessions useful. I'm here every Monday evening to help you get further faster in your property investing journey. I'm now doing 3 videos a week on YouTube. That's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Make sure you look out for those, and I look forward to seeing you